Guys, welcome along. It's been a few weeks, but we're back. I could not leave this weekend without having a preview. What a fantastic 2 days of racing we have ahead. I'm going to preview Doncaster for the St. Ledger meeting, and I'm going to preview Leperstown for the Champion Stakes. Of course, we have some fantastic racing on the Cora Sunday. I will come on tomorrow and do a preview on that. But let's just focus on the two meetings for Saturday. Again, it's just, I don't know where to start with this racing. But I'm going to go to Doncaster first. And we have a 1:15 start, but the first race I'm going to take a look at is the second race on the card, an ultra competitive 5 furlong 22 runner handicap. We love these super competitive handicaps, trying to find the winners of them. I really like these, trying to put the puzzles together in these races. I found one at down the bottom of the weights that I like each way in here. It's from Paul Midgley. David Egan combines to take the ride here, Midwesterner. He is a lightly raced 5-year-old. As I said, he's down the very bottom of the weight. He's only carrying 8-9. He's got a lovely draw. Now, the key for here was the draw. I was looking back, and you want to be drawn high. He's drawn 14, which is ideal. David Egan hasn't won on this horse before, but he has ridden it, so he has a bit of experience on it, which I like. And, of course, David, he's a very young, promising jockey. We don't need to say much about him. Mishriff says it all. So you'd imagine he'd have a choice of a few in this. This horse, he won at the track. He has won over the distance, but not over the course and distance. But he's been running super competitive in big field runner handicaps. I think this could be a lovely little race from here. Sports are playing 5 place in the race. He's around 20 to 1 at the minute. So Midwinster each way in the second race. I do think the one on the top from the Willie Haggis yard, Tom Mark 1 takes the right, Hurricane Ivor. He's very interesting. He could be a bit special, as the old saying says. He could be a bit of a group horse in a handicap, but he's carrying top weight, and it's the draw that put me off here. But again, if he drifts, he's starting to drift, and I think if this horse drifts to 6 or 7 to 1, he could be a bit of value each way. As I said, Boyd Sports are paying 5 places in the race, so Hurricane Ivor as well. He could be a bit of an each way player, but the draw is the only concern I had. So for me, Midwinster. The third race on the card, this is a very interesting race. We've only got 4 runners here. It's the Group 2 stakes. It's for 2-year-olds. And the two at the top of the betting, Reach for the Moon from the John and Tatey Gosden stable with Frankie Dettori in the saddle in the famous colours of Her Majesty the Queen. This See the Stars. Colt, he's been very impressive in his last 2 starts. But I'm going to take him on here. He's 1 to 2. He's too short in my eyes. I'm going to take him on here with the Richard Hannon, Pat Dobbs ridden LaSalle, owned by Qatar Racing. This son of Memes, he's been very impressive for me. He's been a 4-time winner from 5 starts, and his last 2 runs, we've seen him winning the Vintage Stakes at Goodwood, which is a Group 2, and the Jim Crack at York, again, which is a Group 2. I think he's beaten classier company than Reach for the Moon. Now, Reach for the Moon has the potential to be anything, but I just think of the way the prices are, 2 to 1, I'm going to go with LaSalle here for Richard Hannon and Pat Dobbs in the Champagne Stakes. That brings us to the feature race in Doncaster. It's the St. Ledger. It's the last classic of the season in the UK, and it's over mile 6. It's for 3-year-olds only. We've got 10 runners here, but the one they all have to be here for me is the warm favourite. Charlie Appleby, William Buick, Hurricane Lane in Godolphin. Look, this son of Frankel, he's been a bit of a revelation this year. He's only been beaten once this year, and that was in the Epsom English Derby, where he lost both shoes that day. Still finished 3rd. He then went on and ran down Lone Eagle in a very good Irish Derby, I thought, and then went to Longchamp. I think he definitely went to France in the Group 1 the last day. I think it could have been Longchamp, but he was ultimately impressive that day. I think he was a wide margin winner that day. For me, that was his best race. Which now the only concern I do have for this horse is stepping up to mile 6. But again, a lot of these horses are only stepping up they're coming out of a 1.5 mile bracket. I think he's definitely the classy horse in the race. He's 8-11 at the minute. I think he'll get the job done here. In fact, I think, bar any mishaps here, the way he won the last day, I can see him being a very impressive winner here. So for me, Hurricane Lane. But one I think might run well at a price, we always like to get a bit of value in here, is the Mediterranean. For trainer Aidan O'Brien, Wayne Lauren takes the ride, 20-1 at the minute. He hasn't been winning a whole pile, this horse, but he's been running around in some good company, and he's been placed in a lot of good company. He's a Galileo colt, 3-year-old Aidan O'Brien in a classic. He's never one to rule out. So for me, Hurricane Lane for the win, the Mediterranean each way. And that brings us to Leperstown. What a fantastic day's racing we're going to have in Leopardstown. It's Champion Stakes Day. But before all that, we're going to start with the very first race. It's the 12:10. It's the Ballylynch. It's a fillies listed race. It's over 7 furlongs. We've got 11 fillies lining up here. We've got a warm favourite with Jessica Harrington and Shane Foley. Caraval Giel. Probably pronounced that totally wrong. But I'm going to take him on. With the Paddy Toomey trained Limit de Greco. This filly by Elzam. She actually has a length and 3/4 to make up with the favourite. But on that run, look, she's ran 3 times. But a first start for Paddy Toomey was over the course and distance. She was super impressive that day. I think they found she's a little bit special, going by the quotes after the race. She faced, as I said, Jesse's favourite in a maiden, but she was a little bit unlucky that day for Andrew Kinsella. Again, as I said, she changed hands since. She now runs in the very famous Alan Schwartz colours. I was very impressed with her that day. Boyle Sports are paying, you get your money back as a free bet if you finish second to the Fav. That's a bit of insurance, but for me, I think she's going to go, and I think she's going to win here. She's 13-2. She's a little bit of a player each way to nothing in my eyes here for the first 3. So for me, I think she's drawn from stall 10. She was drawn high again the last day in 12, and I think it could be the key to this filly. Billy will be very sweet, and he'll keep her outside. I think he'll do the very same. Come there, not meet any traffic, and hopefully get a clean run. She was a bit unlucky, I said, on our second start. So I think we'll play it nice and simple and just keep her sweet down the outside there for the Paddy Toomey Billy Lee winner in the very first race. That brings us to the second race. It's the Juvenile Stakes. It's a Group 2 over a mile. We've got 10 juveniles lining up here. It's a bit of a head scratcher for me. We've got some very progressive looking sorts. But the one I liked the last day, it's a Churchill. He's first season sire, Churchill son. Once Upon a River. Now he's second string apparently for the Ger Lion stable with Gary Carroll taking the ride, but there's not too many mile Group 2 juvenile races left in the season, and just with different owners and that, I don't think they can separate them too much. So for me, I wouldn't be put off by jockey bookings. Of course, Gary Carroll, he's a very, very good rider, and he's his own right. But Colin Keane is a stable jockey. You'd imagine he'd have choice. But for me, Once Upon a River, now he was third on debut, but I was very impressed in his win in Roscommon. He was a 4-length winner that day over 7. But I just thought he was going to be an absolute mile 2 horse, maybe even a mile 1 horse next year. So for me, and I like these Churchills. The penny is starting to drop with these Churchills now, and there was very positive reports for them early in the season. They haven't taken off to a flyer, but they're starting to get their winners now. So Once Upon a River here, he could be about an 8 to 10-1 shot at the minute. So for me, each way could be a bit of a player. That brings us to the first Group 1 in the card. It's the Matron Stakes. Of course, this is for fillies and mares. It's over a mile. We've got 13 runners lining up here. Aidan O'Brien combines with Ryan Moore from Mother Earth. She won the English 1,000 guineas this year. She's very, very good, I think. And look, for me, they all have to beat her here. She's 11-8 at the minute. I think she could put in a big performance here. So for me, Mother Earth, I'm going to be very boring and stick with the favourite here. Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien. But the one that if the rain comes, the one that I might go for a bit of an each way bet in the race is Empress Josephine for Shamey, because she was a winner of the Irish 1,000 guineas. I just think that if she gets a little bit of toe on the ground, she could be a bit of an each way player here. But for me, Mother Country, she's the one. The Fourth race on the card then, it's the Boomerang Mile. It's Group 2. It's over a mile, as I said. We've got 14 runners lined up here. It's one that I'm not going to really touch, but if one comes back to form, it's one that we tipped ran a cracker in the English 1,000 guineas Fev Rover. Richard Fahey brings over this filly. So she bounces back to her early season and back in season form of last year. I think she could run well at a price. And that brings us to the feature race in Leperstown. It's the Champion Stakes. Look, what can we say about this race? It's one of the races of the season in my eyes. Been won some of the greats over the years, High Chaparral, Azamore, and of course Sea the Stars. But for me, one of my earliest memories in racing that will give you the bug of racing if you go back and watch the replay. Fantastic Light and Galileo battling it out. Fantastic Light got the better of Galileo that day. But what a battle up the straight these two had. These two superstar horses had. Of course, it's a shame we didn't see Fantastic Light as a sire for a good number after he's premature death. But look at what Galileo's gone on to do since. But that was a race to savour over the years. We've only got 4 runners here, but in these 4 runners, we've got a Breeders' Cup winner, we've got a 2000 and St James's Palace winner, and we've got the Coral Eclipse winner. He also won the 2 French, the 2000 and the French Derby, St Mark's Basilica. But look, for me, it's going to be a battle of the 3. I think Joseph's horse Patrick Sarsfield is just, they're not going to run down the horse, but I think he'll be a bit outclassed in this race. But for me, St Mark's Basilica, I think he's just been an absolute revelation this year. He was absolutely scintillating last time out in the Coral Eclipse at Sandown. He brushed aside Mischief and Adab like they weren't even there. His turn of foot, I think, is going to be the key here. And of course, being a 3-year-old, he actually gets weight from the filly, Tarawan, for Dermot Well and Colin Keane in the colours of the Aga Khan. Look, Poetic Flair, he's not going to be too far away. He's a tough horse by Dawn Approach, Jim Buller and Kevin Manning. But for me, I think St Mark's Basilica, as I said all year, I've been raving about the Sayumis, and he's been the flag bearer of Sayumis this year, but he's an absolute, I think he's a weapon. Look, I'm going to go on my treble on the weekend is going to be Hurricane Lane, the Ledger, St Mark's Basilica, and the Matron Stakes, Mother Earth. Those are going to be my short price treble for the weekend. But look, hopefully we got some winners there. We have some. Well, I will be back to preview the Curragh tomorrow for St Ledger Day, and of course there's some cracking races there alone besides the St Ledger. But look, it's good to be back, and hopefully I shall see you guys again very soon. And remember, guys, please give it a like, give it a share, and I will talk to you again very soon. Cheers.